We're talking about the global chip shortage today with Daphne LaPrance-Ronguet here for ZDNet, specifically how this is impacting the car manufacturers. Daphne, a new study out talking about just how bad the situation is.
Yes, so exactly. A new study looking at car production in the UK last May. So May 2021, it showed that 55,000 cars had been produced in the UK in total. So if we compare this to the numbers from 2020, they seem quite healthy because in May 2020, for example, only about 5,300 cars were produced, but that's because it was a pandemic year. As a result of government lockdowns, government rules, health and safety rules linked to the COVID-19 pandemic, car manufacturers last year in 2020 completely shut down some of their facilities. So really, production came to a complete halt. So it's fairer to compare this year's numbers and statistics to 2019, which was a normal year. And then when you do that comparison, we make that comparison, we can see that production this year was less than half of what it was in 2019. So quite disappointing numbers, and they're all due to a global shortage of semiconductors that's been affecting many industries for about a year now. Chips in modern day cars are the brains behind many features, ranging from driver's aids to in-car infotainment, for example. So they're quite crucial to the manufacturing of cars, really. And because of this global shortage of chips that's been going on for a few months, car manufacturers have not been able to produce as many cars as they wish they could. So, for example, in the UK, Jaguar had to suspend some of its productions at certain plants completely for a few days. BMW as well suspended production for a few days at its Oxford Mini plants. So all of this, again, due to the shortage of chips, and it's not just a UK problem, of course, it's a worldwide problem. Car manufacturers around the world are raising alarm bells at this shortage. Ford, for example, expects that its production of cars in the second quarter of 2021 will be only half of what it's supposed to be. And another industry giant, General Motors, expects around $2 billion losses as a result of this shortage that's completely affecting the production of cars around the world.
So Daphne, we know it's impacting many different industries, but it seems like the car manufacturers are being hit really hard with this.
Yeah, so it's not evident at first to see how a global shortage of chips is affecting the car industry, and to understand it, we have to go back a little bit to the origins of the global chip shortage. So it was started a few months ago when there was a huge surge in demand for electronics like PCs and tablets, as people were kept in their homes, had to work from home, had to attend school from home and university from home. So the demand for these chip-hungry devices really rose to unprecedented levels, and chip manufacturers were unable to cope with that demand. At the same time, as I said, car manufacturers reduced their orders for chips because they had to halt their production lines because of the health and safety regulations in different countries. So they reduced their orders, and now that demand is back to normal levels, that they're finding themselves at the complete end of the queue, and chip manufacturers are giving priority to those higher paying customers that are the smartphone industry, the PC industry, gaming industry, and so on. So really at the heart of the issue is the fact that the car manufacturing supply lane is perhaps less reliant on chips than, for example, a smartphone or a PC. And so car manufacturers don't have the sort of contracts and contacts in their supply chain that ensure that there is resilience in the case of a disruption to the supply of semiconductors. So it's a real pain point for them at this point now that they're at the bottom of this queue, to be able to secure a healthy supply of chips that are crucial to the manufacturing of cars, of modern day cars at least.
So what happens next, Daphne? Is there an end in sight?
So it's unsure when the end of the global chip shortage, or when the shortage will start to subside. A lot of experts don't expect it to subside until well into 2022. So the automotive industry has called on governments, has called on chip manufacturers to reprioritize the way that they distribute chips, so that they don't always give priority to the higher paying customers. But the problem with that is that virtually every industry that uses chips is being affected by this shortage, and virtually every industry is fighting its case to make sure that it gets priority on the chip manufacturers' order lists. So, for example, even last year, the Smart Payments Association, which is a trade body that represents the manufacturers of smart payment cards, sent out a warning that the global shortage of chips is now affecting the manufacturing of payment cards, bank cards. So this, as you can imagine, could have huge repercussions on consumers, on commerce around the world, and referring specifically to the priorities that chip manufacturers should keep in mind. The Smart Payments Association said that they should be given priority ahead of other industries, like perhaps automotive, that will have less tangible effects on consumers and commerce around the world. So it's really not certain that the automotive industry will be prioritized when it comes to distributing chips anytime soon, and it's quite hard to see an end to the crisis for now.
All right, we'll continue to follow this, Daphne. Thanks so much for being with us here, everybody. For much more, make sure you check out ZDNet.